Hello and good afternoon. Welcome to this session, and sorry we are delayed a couple of minutes because there was quite a queue at lunch, but we are going to do a soft start as other colleagues join us. So this is a session, solar irrigation for smallholder farmers, where we're going to discuss how solar irrigation is, or if solar irrigation is building resilience and reducing poverty among the smallholder farmers. So we'll start with brief introductions of the session and the panelists, and then our panelists will share their experience in reaching smallholder farmers with solar-powered irrigation. And then, because it's after lunch and we don't want too much sitting, we shall end the session with an interactive debate where we shall put up some statements about solar-powered irrigation and be very happy to get some feedback and some viewpoints, discussions, insights from the audience as well. So we are looking forward to really capturing your insights in this discussion. But before we go ahead, my name is Helen Chomgisha, and I'm from GIZ, Energizing Development, Uganda, where I work as a program component manager, heading our solar component activities. Now, Energizing Development, or NDEV overall, works under an overarching theme, which is energizing change, with 3 thematic focus areas. That's energizing lives, opportunities, and climate. And we work basically to promote uptake of various clean technologies, mostly through market-based approaches. Now, bringing it down to Uganda, where I'm from, we have a number of interventions as NDEV. And some of these fall into what we typically call PUE, productive use of electricity, which is where solar irrigation for smallholder farmers actually falls. More recently, we've started, I think a couple of years back, implementing a project which we call Sustainable Energy for Smallholder Farmers, shortly referred to as SEFA, that is actually focusing on promoting adoption, uptake of a number of technologies among smallholder farmers, one of which is solar irrigation. And this is a regional project that we also implement with Kenya and Ethiopia. And I'm also glad that we actually have one of our counterparts from IKEA Foundation here who is actually funding that project. And as NDEV, through this project, we've done a number of interventions to promote uptake and adoption of solar irrigation, including things like awareness, capacity building, working with the private sector. Actually, the previous sessions in the morning discussed a number of barriers to adoption, etc. And through various interventions, we've tried to address some of these barriers. And at the moment, we've been able to reach, at least in Uganda, hundreds of farmers with solar-powered irrigation solutions. Now, before I introduce and invite our panelists to speak, allow me to set the scene a bit. In one of the morning sessions, it was presented that actually 2.5 billion people in the world are dependent on agriculture, basically are involved in agriculture activities. Now, bringing it down to Uganda, it is estimated that actually 68% of our working population is involved in agriculture. And a more recent survey by our Uganda Bureau of Statistics, where they surveyed about 7 million households, which is about 80% of our households, showed that agriculture was the main economic activity for the heads of these households. And bringing in a gender aspect, actually, for the households surveyed, if the households were female-headed, then 87% of these said that agriculture was their main source of basically economic activity, compared to 74% for the male-headed households. Now, also to bring it further down to smallholder farmers, a few years back there was a survey that shows how many percentage of the farmers are actually smallholder. So, but when the survey was done, 80% of the farmers were smallholder farmers, with actually, that's Uganda, with actually only 20% being the commercial large-scale farmers. So which underscores why we are still having these kinds of discussions and collecting insights and looking at these kinds of interventions. Now, on that note, allow me to introduce and welcome our panelists to this session. I'm joined by a distinguished panel of industry experts, practitioners, also implementing in various aspects and in various regions in sub-Saharan Africa and Asia, and actually also implementing different business models. So I'm looking forward to this discussion. Now, to my immediate left is Yolanda. Yolanda is a program manager for renewable energy at IKEA Foundation. Yolanda started with IKEA Foundation, first as a sustainability leader over 10 years ago, and then transitioned to her current role where she manages a portfolio of partners working on renewable energy. Yolanda herself will tell you more about IKEA Foundation's work and interventions in terms of the topic we are discussing, but Yolanda, welcome to the panel. Then next to Yolanda is Tange. Tange is a chief strategy officer at Sun Culture, based in France. And he has had an international career in the off-grid industry, where he has operated in various business models, supporting underserved rural communities. And in his current role at Sun Culture, he contributes to guide Sun Culture's organic growth in current markets and drive strategic international partnerships. So Tange, welcome to the discussion. Yes, and last but definitely not least, I have Sejal. Sejal is an impact manager at Oja Development Solutions, based in India. And I mean, as her title states, impact manager, she works to capture economic, social, and environmental impact of the services that Oja is providing the rural community, which actually include farming as a service, one of which focus areas is irrigation as a service. And she's actually also responsible for mainstreaming gender in operations and the management of Oja. So welcome, Sejal, to the panel. And maybe I turn to the audience also to get a feel of who is in the room. So I'll be just curious to see how many of us have experience implementing interventions, projects focusing on solar irrigation for smallholder farmers. Oh, that's very nice. And how many of us are smallholder farmers or are familiar with using solar irrigation? Okay, great. So I'm looking forward to the interactive debate and discussion. And maybe on that note, to also set the scene more with our panelists before we can go to the interactive debate, I will invite our panelists to briefly share about smallholder irrigation, what are the aspects they're implementing in their different interventions, how are they focusing on areas like sustainability, increased productivity, and also to highlight a key aspect of what should we be looking at, as always, avoid unintended negative side effects of our interventions. So on that note, allow me to start with you, Yolanda. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the introduction and also giving some background notes. Really great to be here, and I see a lot of familiar faces in the room, which is always nice. It feels like coming home a little bit to be at sessions like this, right? My name is Yolanda, and I'm working as a program manager in the renewable energy team, as was mentioned. But I would like to say first a few words about IKEA Foundation, just to make sure that everyone is aligned on what we're actually doing. And I see you're clicking. I don't have a presentation, so you just have to do it with me today. So IKEA Foundation, we're located in a small town in the Netherlands, in Leiden. That's where the majority of our team sits. We also have a small liaison office in India, because that's where our work started years ago. And we work through partners. So to your point of implementation programs, no, we have not been doing that. We do that with partners like many of you are here in the room. So we work with expert organizations who are also our ears and eyes. And we always really appreciate honest insights from the field, also to make our decisions better. So we work on a few different teams in IKEA Foundation, and the two that will stand out for this session is renewable energy, but also agriculture livelihoods. And within that, we focus on regenerative agriculture. So for us, having said that, those teams, we work through partners. We work in different ways. But productive use of renewable energy, which is where I'm part of the team that is focusing on that, Actually, in the previous session, I don't know who participated in that, but Christina said we definitely, I see some hands, definitely need to rebrand that. So in case anyone has better suggestions on how we should be referring to that, please let us know as well. But for us, when we speak about energy for productive use, we're really looking at the end user impact of that. So how can we increase resilience, for example, improve the livelihood, so to say, in a climate-friendly way. So that's kind of the gist of what the portfolio is doing. We're looking at different type of partnerships in that. So we might work with partners that actually are supporting the sector to develop. We might work with partners that are implementing programs to test, for example, certain business models, or to gather data, or higher level champions. So it's quite a diverse portfolio in that sense. We work mainly in Uganda, Kenya, Ethiopia, and India. So those are the focus regions. And that's similar of the other portfolios in IKEA Foundation as well. And I mentioned it already, for us end users, it should be at the center of what we do. So also when we speak about energy, it's very easy to kind of go into the technical realities of that. We always try to step out of that a little bit, because we think that more than only technology is needed in order to solve the issues that are currently out there. So we'll just wait for a second till the door is closed. Thank you. So in that sense, having that said, we truly believe that a whole ecosystem is needed in order to make, for example, technology solutions land in the right way. But we also want to make sure that the right solutions land in the right way. So really looking at the end user needs before we start implementing, and listening to what our partners say, but also what, for example, farmers would say. And to your point on smallholder farmers, I mean, if you work on those two teams and you work in these geographic areas, it's impossible to stay out of agriculture, right? So that's the reason why we're strongly focusing on that. Yeah, so and in the same nexus, irrigation, of course, is one of the key things that comes up, especially if we listen to the farmers and the needs that they have, the changing environments as well. Not only getting more droughts, but also the other way around, of course. So it's been challenging and more tricky in order to be able to manage that. I'm sure that we will hear more of that. I'm actually sitting here amongst real experts, so I know that it's going to be, I'm going to say a few words about CEFA, but actually Helen knows like all the ins and outs on that as well. And then, of course, we have here two panelists that will speak about how they actually implement some of these programming as well. So, but having said that, so we work with NDEF, so the CEFA project, the Sustainable Energy for Smallholder Farmers. It's part of the NDEF umbrella. It's being managed by GIZ and implemented by GIZ SNV together. And it's in 3 countries, so Ethiopia, Uganda, and Kenya. It's looking at 2 different value chains, so the dairy and the horticulture value chains, and focusing on cooling, drying, and irrigation as main kind of technology solutions in that sense. Well, today we'll speak about irrigation, so I will leave the rest. But the nice thing for this important body of work for IKEA Foundation is that on one hand we see real impacts in the field, and on the other hand we really try to develop business cases that can be useful to be replicated or scaled elsewhere as well. So really distract these learnings as well, which is important. So, I mean, it won't be perhaps very groundbreaking, but some of the main learnings that we had like in the first, couple of years. I mean, trust in technology is sometimes still an issue, right? So if we look, for example, at Ethiopia, and for that matter, I mean, really to trust on the technology that's going to solve an issue, it takes a lot of capacity and awareness building, and that's where CEFA is truly focusing on. So sometimes we take it for granted, we have a good solution, we implement it and it works. Well, there's a lot of groundwork that needs to happen for that, and that's what this program is focusing on about. And sizing matters as well, having the right size of solutions when we look at smaller farmers, and not have like 2 standard options and good luck with it. Try to serve your needs. Agronomy and business skills are very important to have as a package when you start implementing these things in order to have viable business cases. And viable business cases actually will then increase adoption as well. So we need to nail that right in order to also see that more people will adopt these technologies. And then lastly, access to finance won't be a surprise, and I see some of you guys with your eyes as well recognizing. I mean, it's also where CEFA is looking at, and there's actually 2 really good examples with 2 different models here on the panel, so I won't be going into that, because otherwise I tell all your stories. And then for when we just look at irrigation, what we think is really, really crucial to make sure that we focus on end users, keep them, that's what we're doing this work for. So keep those needs at all the center that we do. Practice it with good agronomic practices in order to also avoid unintended consequences. I mean, soil health, for example, or like monocropping. I mean, we need to be super, super careful with how we implement these things. And then lastly, an ecosystem is needed in order to make these interventions land in the right way. So having said that, I think that we will have some more in-country examples for this.
Yeah, thank you so much, Yolanda, especially also for touching on the importance of viable business cases, and I think what we call auxiliary services, so not just irrigation, but also looking at, do I have agronomy, do I have business aspects, do I have good water harvesting technologies, etc. So thanks for touching on that and the importance of holistic programming and approaches to adoption of these technologies. We'll go next to Tange, who is from Sun Culture, and I also have to say, actually, Sun Culture is one of the partners we work with under CEFA in Kenya. So once again, welcome to the panel, and we're looking forward to your insights. Also, for the panelists, please feel free to move as you make your submission. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm going to stand because I don't want you guys to fall asleep, so you need to, to bring some energy in the room. And also because for the first time, and I'm very glad about that, I'm a gender representative on this forum, so it means things are moving the right way. So nice to meet you all. So my name is Tengi. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer at Sun Culture. And basically, Sun Culture is a private company, basically selling solar irrigation systems. Our home market is Kenya, where it was started a couple of years ago. And now we are in 3 countries, which is Kenya, Uganda, and Cote d'Ivoire in West Africa. And through distributors, we are supplying 4 more countries. So basically, we have technological presence in 7 countries in Africa. So what I want to share with you today in a very quick presentation is basically, because it's all about smallholder farmers, as it was clearly stated here. And we all know nowadays that I think it has been acknowledged, and we can see from the international, big donors, lenders of this world, that basically smallholder farmers are the food basket in Africa. We've tried for many, many decades, supporting big-scale farmers, but at the end of the day, as it was said in introduction, 80% of the African population are actually smallholder farmers. And I mean, all the challenges that we see, I mean, here we live in Africa, we see immigration coming up in Europe, all starts with food security. And that's exactly why we are focusing on smallholder farmers, because at the end of the day, the true topic about these sessions here is how do we improve food security for this population. And we all know it starts with smallholder farmers, because they are the grower of this world, and to grow you need water. So irrigation is the first steps of a whole value chain. And as Sun Culture, that's the step we are trying to address. So who are we? As I said, we supply small-scale solar systems, couple of watts, basically bringing a couple of cubic meters per hour to our smallholder farmers. And typically, a Sun Culture smallholder farmers is obviously someone living, on a farm, but on a farm in Kenya or wherever in Africa doesn't mean far away from a town. It's usually 3 to 5 acres. So we're talking here 1 hectare max, 1.5 hectare max. So it's really small-scale farmers. About 35% of those farmers are women in terms of owner, so who comes and purchases the systems with us. We propose systems on a rent-to-own basis, so we hardly sell cash. Only, let's call it 15% of our customers, purchase cash. So obviously, affordability is a problem. So the way to remedy to that, as many operators, our business model is on rent-to-own. We will see another one just after me, where we lease our systems to customers for up to 3 years. So during those 3 years, customers, repay us, as they can. Ideally, I say it's a lease because, like many actors, we've tried harvest repayment base, where people, repay you only when they can. It brings, cash flow issues and other stuff like that. So, and we guarantee our systems. We offer, as long as you're on the lease period, your system is under guarantee. So we come and fix it, free for our customers. We have about 50,000 customers in our markets, mainly 35,000 in Kenya. And we've been operating, as I said, for a couple of years. And here is the typical smallholder farmer we deal with. Basically, I mean, without coming back to what Yolanda said, I mean, current learnings for business like ours is that indeed we address the first step of the whole value chain, and this is the most critical step. But let's be honest, 50,000 customers in 4 years, we're not going anywhere with this. In sense of, as a company, okay, we are there, we are breaking even, we're moving along. But in terms of making a difference and changing the dynamic here, what I've been hearing from the session this morning, what we've been hearing from others is like the real currency nowadays is time. So we need to scale, and we need to scale fast. But the biggest barrier, first of all, is indeed affordability for the customers. I mean, for these people to access the technology. I think what we've learned is that there is not enough actors like ours within this industry to address those. But there is actors along the whole value chain. There is experts on training, there is experts on seeds, on crop protection, on access to market, on cold storage. There is actors, throughout the value chain. But how do we make those actors now tomorrow, instead of making 10,000 customers acquire, a product per year, you make 100,000. So that's basically the challenge we want to discuss with you today. Affordability is the main driver. How do we support the industry to grow? And how do we use existing levers, such as the carbon market, for example, how do we scale? So that's what I wanted to bring. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tanguy, and also for the important aspect of actually defining what we mean by a smallholder farmer. So indeed, in terms of acreage of land, so 1, 3 to 5, but I think 5 acres maximum. So we also have the context of the discussion, and touching on the critical aspects of affordability for the systems, for the farmers. Last but not least, I will invite Seja to share a different business model for Oja. And actually, Seja has a presentation, so we'll also be joining you on that side so we can see the presentation. And after that, we shall move to the interactive debate. Thank you. I can move this one. I think we can go down so we can see the presentation.
We want to see it as well. Is it coming up?
Works for me. You can just show. Hello everyone, I'm Sejal from Ooja Development Solutions India Private Limited. I work as an impact manager at Ooja, and while we all are talking since morning about affordability for the smallholder farmers, this comes as a different model when we are talking about not the ownership of assets, but irrigation as a service to the farm holders. So going to the next, Ooja started in 2018 as a company that started providing solar irrigation services to the farmers on pay-per-use basis. While many of us, as Helen initially asked, are smallholder farmers who might have practiced solar irrigation in the field, I'm here to bring the story of a farmer who actually practices it. So he is Rajesh, a 45-year-old farmer based out of Uttar Pradesh, a state in India. He owns 1.8 acres of land and grows rice, wheat, and maize. He was initially a diesel pump renter, but after services, he has made the transition to using solar irrigation services for his field. And his average income, as we are talking about smallholder farmers, is less than $80. And when we just asked him, what is the change that you could see in your life after making this transition, he just said the statement, water for my field is now just a button away. So, what we do, we try to solve the major problems. First being, in case of India, that 30 million farmers are relying on fossil fuel-based power sources for irrigating their field. And if you're talking about GHG emissions since morning, 21% of GHG emissions in India come from agricultural activities. And if we have to cater that, then we'll have to make this transition to renewable sources of energy. And the major challenge, affordability, comes in the high upfront cost that comes with these solar-based services, or solar-based equipment, I would say. Now, if we have to grow, we have to increase the productivity of these farmers. And for this, the transition is really important, because as the population is exploding, food requirements would be definitely increasing as well. And we need to increase the productivity of these smallholder farmers in a climate-friendly manner. So, who our target customers are: smallholder farmers owning 1 to 2 acres of land, having income less than $100 per month, marginalized communities covering different intersectionalities of the country. They are engaged in 2 growing seasons mainly, and mostly grow cereal crops, while some may also grow horticulture crops. What we are doing, we are providing irrigation as a service. So what it's trying to cater is enabling the farmers to reduce their diesel fuel consumption, giving them year-round accessibility to these services, and it's also making them irrigate their field regularly, which might not be the case if they're using a diesel engine as a source of their irrigation, because in that case they may have to take the hassle of installing the pumps again as and when they need. Now what they are doing, we are asking for no upfront cost as an cost that farmers have to bear. Installation, maintenance is all up to us. They just have to pay on per use basis. For example, if they're fetching 100 meter cube of water from the pump, they pay accordingly. They don't have to pay the asset cost for it. And it's making these services and tariffs affordable because it's reducing their diesel prices usage. So it's 20 to 60% cheaper. It's a pay-per-use service. And ultimately, it's bringing in on-farm convenience to them because, as I said, it's just a button away. Now, what the tariff is, it's USD 0.05 per meter cube, 5 cents in that sense, and they have to pay a lifetime membership fee of $12.5 when they sign up for our services. And at the same time, when we are talking about making this transition of climate resilient or climate smart agriculture, we are also providing them complementary farm-related advisories so that they can increase their productivity with that source of water, at the same time make their transition from chemical to organic inputs. But when we are talking about affordability, another angle comes into picture is making these affordable for the organization as well. And the energy is already getting utilized, but is it being utilized fully when we are talking about irrigation? No. In a year of 365 days, the farming activities generally spans for 200 to 225 days for a farmer, depending upon the crop and the season in which they practice. So that unutilized energy is being used by us as a milling services that is providing additional to the communities. And that's where we come, that it's being provided at a lower tariff as compared to the market rates, again making that transition of after harvest stage. So in case of agriculture, we have pre-harvest, during harvest, and post-harvest. We are already catering to the pre-harvest with solar-powered irrigation, but post-harvest with this as a service. What we are trying to do, we are trying to increase the productivity by 50%, income by 100%, reducing the diesel consumption, and at the same time promoting crop diversity. And the impact that we have created, the fact says it all, but keeping the time limited, I'll just say it all. We have reduced around 1637 tons of carbon emission, generated 1172 of megawatt energy, reduced the chemical inputs, and we have been able to benefit 21,000 around beneficiaries, because what we believe, farming is not an individual unit, it's a household unit. Every member of the farming family is somewhere involved in any one or particular activity of the agriculture. So that's where we say we have reached these many beneficiaries. And when we say about the impact, then definitely it's not us who say, but even an external evaluation partner who assessed that 94% of our farmers reported there's an improvement in their quality of life after they've started using our services. And at the same time, 81% reported convenience because they find it easy to use our services. They don't have to go to the hassle of installing and maintaining it. Again, just unlocking inclusive policy making in solar irrigation. This is a study we are doing with International Institute of Sustainable Development. We are trying to understand what are the benefits that a community can derive, the gender angle that we are also focusing upon when we are providing them after harvest services in the form of milling services. So it's trying to address unutilized energy potential, gender and economic benefits that a community can reap, cost effectiveness of services as I earlier touched upon, and it's also promoting the use of solar-powered services within the community. So with this all, these are the awards, the recognitions we have got for our services. These are the investors and partners. Nonetheless, to say it's their support and the support at the field from our farmers who are making this transition helpful for us, who are making us boost our services worldwide if you want to go. At present, we are in India, but yes, we are looking for more partnerships and more collaborations outside India as well. And here I am. If you want to see more about Urja, you can visit our website, urjasolutions.org. You can mail me at sajal.agarwal@urjasolutions.org. And also you can check our social media pages by typing @urjasolutions. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sejal, also for really emphasizing the impact, but touching on a critical aspect about a viable business case, not just for the smallholder farmer, but for the business. So looking at how else, like for example, you're doing also milling so that it's also viable for yourself as a business. So that's also very critical. And all the panelists' contacts and all will be available for follow-up. Yes, now we are going to move on to the interactive session. So I will also have some of my colleagues in the room assist me. So this is an approach we are testing. So we are hoping for great impact numbers, similar to what Sejal has just presented. So we've prepared a couple of statements where I would like to get not just the panelists' input, but as also the voices of the audience, as we shall actually not have a Q&A at the end. So how it will work is we are going to vote by moving. So this side of the room is completely disagree or 0%, and this side of the room is 100% agree or 100%, and where I'm standing is neutral or not sure. So we will project the statements and you can stand on where you feel you agree on the scale. And as other group members pitch in, feel free to move if someone gives a viewpoint that changes your original voting. I hope that's clear, but we shall learn by doing. So I guess even in irrigation, demonstration is very, very important. So if it's okay, I will request us all to stand up as I put up the first statement on the board. So, thank you. So statement number 1 is solar-powered irrigation is guaranteed. I think that's the key word, guaranteed to increase the incomes of smallholder farmers. So this is the side, yeah, in Northern culture, and Oja will be at this scale, but feel free to stand somewhere on the scale. We can use the front to vote so that it's easy, and I will come to you if you're comfortable with also weighing in on where you're standing in the room. Okay. All right, so maybe I will start from the 0 scale side, assuming we are there because the instructions are clear. Yes, you want to give a viewpoint of why you don't act, or you have a question?
I'm fully supportive of solar irrigation, but I'm just surprised everybody gives it 100% guaranteed increase incomes. I'm so surprised. I mean, you need to do a lot of things in order to get there, I think, but I mean, I can stop here for now, but yeah, so I'm surprised, but we would like to hear why it's 100% guaranteed, actually. I'm very curious.
Thank you so much. That's, a fair point that I think also Yolanda touched upon about agronomy, business, having the right to get to the 100%, if I understood your point well. Someone else here who wants to give us their viewpoint? I'm going to walk along the scale. 10%? Okay.
I think that we sometimes think technology is going to definitely get us there, but there's a lot that could go wrong, and there's a lot of risks that the farmers take in using it, so we have to be conscious of that. So I'd like to be optimistic and be over there, but I don't think the word guarantee is safe here.
Thank you so much, and actually the debate was, the word guarantee is the catch point in the statement, and indeed us being cognizant of all the risks, and I think, like we had said, holistic programming and approaches is very critical for everyone in the room to stand on the other side. So thank you so much for that input. I will try to move closer to 40-50%. If there's someone on the scale who's...
Remember also, you don't have to stay in one spot. You can move if you decide now to.
Yeah, come this way, come.
I think here I can go for Carlos.
Yeah, well, I'm on the 50% because I think, the technology is pretty solid, is tested, we know it's working, but obviously there are a lot of soft elements that we don't control, but if they're properly done, the technology is not going to fail. So I think it's on the soft side where my doubts are coming from.
Thank you so much. I think I'm hearing the same point, but at different points of the scale. Sorry.
We should make them introduce themselves.
Yes, that's a good point. That the next, when I get 75%, please start by introducing yourself. Something I'd overlooked. So if I would get one more voice here, then 100%, then I wrap up with the panelists as we go to the next question. Someone comfortable along 75%? Ibrahim?
Ibrahim Mutebi, working for SNV as a program manager for SEFA, Uganda. I'm at 75%, just similar to what Carlos mentioned, that irrigation is more of a mature technology if you talk about productive use of energy. But also, if you look at the portfolio of farmers that are targeted, it's those who have low incomes. So in essence, when you present it to the farmer as a business case, and that's where we need to start from, it's a need-based approach where we need to look at income enhancement as one of the areas where we are promoting irrigation. So I think that's where I would see it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Yes, 100%? Yeah. Okay. Yes, he really can't. Yes, please introduce yourself and your viewpoint. Then, actually, the panelists are already here. So
okay. This is Tony from Lucky Elephant Solar. I'm the manufacturer of the solar irrigation system. We have been exporting to more than 60 countries for many years. And some of the India brand, we support them from just start to one of the main brand in the market. So we have many case studies about how they guarantee the increased income. One of the point is if they can cut down their cost, that means their net income has been increased. Yeah, even if their income remain unchanged, then their cost has been reduced. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Maybe I'll go to you, Tange. Then, Seja, since you're here, I think I'll go to Yolanda for the next question since she's at 30%.
She's at,
yeah. All right.
She's not a supporter.
Yes. Tange, please.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, I'm standing on 100%, obviously. I mean, that would be foolish not to. But basically to answer some of the 0% people there, or even all those who are below 50%, which is most of the room, I'm scared. As my colleague here, I mean, there is a hard facts here. And I think the catch here is, when we say solar power irrigation, I mean, on the sun culture point of view here is, I'm talking here as an operator, not just as a supplier, where it's all about out of the shelves, selling technology, and you would believe that people will change and it will guarantee increase on income. We're talking here as an operation where it wouldn't work if you don't support your customers, obviously. So it's a customer journey, and solar irrigation in that aspect as sun culture. So using our Kenya home market, over 2,000 samples survey, like on Sejal presentation, run by 60 Decibel, which is one of the largest trusted third-party impact assessment nowadays. So on the sun culture 2022 numbers, year 2022, 2,000 customers reported, 90% of them reported improved production, which 72% of them reported as very much improved. 90% reported improved way of farming, which 20% reported acquisition of additional land. And 80% reported increased money earned. 90% of these people made the increase through increased volume, sales of increased volumes. So it proves there is a small value chain that can catch up with increased volumes, but still we need to work on that. And 89% reported improved quality of life. So that's with these numbers that I believe I'm on the right side of the room. And you guys should come this way.
Thank you so much, Tange. Seja?
Yeah, thanks, Helen. And as he said, I'm quite astonished to see that a lot of people are below 50% as of now, till now, after he has presented all the facts. But just putting on emphasis on two words here, we are increasing income. Guaranteed to increase income doesn't mean 100% increase in income. It means that income can increase by even 10%, and that is substantial for the farmers we are talking about. If you're talking about your own packages, if it increases by 10%, doesn't it add? It adds. Similarly, when we are talking about smallholder farmers, even if it's a 5 to 10% increase, it counts. It counts a lot. So what we guarantee as an individual, as an organization to the farmers, is that when you start using our services, as he rightly touched upon, the cost effectiveness. Earlier, just giving an example, that a farmer used to spend somewhere around what we are talking about is the farmers who are using diesel irrigation as a source of irrigation for them, diesel engines. They used to incur around in that terms of dollar, around 7 to 8 cents per meter cube. Now they're spending just 5 cents per meter cube. That is giving them a savings in their expenditure. So even if their income overall, we are definitely working on that, not just solar irrigation, but at the same time, we are also giving them advisory services so that that can help them make that transition from not just using solar irrigation as a source of irrigation, but also using it rightly. Otherwise, we may end up depleting our groundwater level. So there are a few things that along with this particular goes, but as an organization, we definitely, and as he rightly mentioned, about 60 decibels, around 80 to 90% of our farmers even reported that they can see an increase in their income. But in case of smallholder farmers, even income is a subjective term we need to touch upon. They may not include all their expenses when we are talking about. We have to do a lot of calculations, a lot of mathematics. Being an impact manager myself, we have to ask a lot of questions exactly to even get the expenses that they incur. So when we are talking about these things, many things have to be covered, but yes, guaranteed income increase is for sure there.
Thank you so much, no. Yeah. Yes, yeah. I think, yes, I think guarantee is a big word, and there's a lot of things below it: markets, training, and all that. So that really it goes to that, because I think I'm actually standing on 75% because increased productivity. Even then, there's a lot that has to happen for that to translate to increased income if we don't handle other aspects, what happens post-harvest, storage, etc. But since I came close to Yolanda, I will have Yolanda wrap up this session, if that's okay. Then we shall do another debate statement, but feel free to keep the conversation going, yes.
Sorry, I just wanted to add, Tanguy, no, it's me. It's her.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
I just wanted to respond that we need, thank you very much, and I fully agree and align with you. We need people to stand on the 0% side, so there is debate. Because if we all stand here or we all stand there, then, it's a moot point. So thank you very much, and we need people to keep disagreeing.
Okay, thank you.
For the debate,
Thank you, Tanguy, and I hope at the next forum we shall all be standing in the last 25% percentile towards 100%. Yolanda.
Yeah, please allow me to end this with some pessimistic notes then perhaps wrap it up. I'm usually pretty much an optimist and I would love to stand on that side. But I think it's much in the wording and that has been said already, right? So I do recall also a study of 60 decibels that you mentioned together with the Efficiency for Access Coalition where 58% said that there is an improvement in the quality of life, which is not the same as an increase in income. Actually, only 20% reported an increase in income. So there are some nuances to that. And you can, of course, increase your productivity, but if you don't have a market to offset it, it won't increase your income either. So I think that's the nuance. And it's nice to see that we can agree to disagree, but still agree that there's a nuance in there. And that was the pessimistic roundup for the session.
Yes, thank you so much, Yolanda. And I think for us to also keep all this in mind, I've also noticed now, even as we do monitoring and impact tracking of our interventions, then we have to address all the nuances, as you've put it rightly, so that we are presenting a very, as much as possible, panoramic picture of what is happening. This has been very interesting, and I have to say from the development partner side, I've taken down a lot of notes for programming and designing of approaches, so thank you so much for that. We'll do the next question, which is that all smallholder farmers, so I think here is all, the catchword, should be able to afford these solar-powered irrigation systems without any subsidy within the next 5 years. So even before we get to SDG 7, yeah. Oh.
I'd be crowded here.
Now I see a lot of agree to agree. Okay. Okay. Wow. I think this one will be short, and so I'll start from the 0% that didn't speak in the last round. If anyone is, are you 0%?
Chris, you look very eager to say something about this.
Yes, please introduce yourself and your.
You can go next.
So, wow. My name is Florian. I grew up on a farm. My family is doing farming since about my ancestry, like 600 years. So even we depend on subsidies right now. So I just don't believe that this is possible. I think it's deserved even, and I think it's just very important to be very careful how subsidies work, that it's actually a balanced playing field for those who have really an opportunity to continue.
Thank you so much. I was actually going to say, okay, what should we do? And you highlighted well about subsidies being a balanced playing field. So
it's very tricky to make that.
Okay. Yes, a very crucial input. You're next? Yes, please go ahead. All right, please go ahead, yeah.
So I think kind of two things we've heard from Audra and Sun Culture. They're reaching farmers who are smallholder farmers, you know, between 2 and 5 acres. That's not the very base of the pyramid. There's farmers who I've worked with who are half an acre farmers or less. And so how can they afford these kind of solutions? I don't think we do have the solutions for those kind of farmers at the moment. But I also don't think they'll ever be able to afford them without subsidies. I think the second thing is that we've only really tapped into the early adopters at the moment. And so we're seeing kind of some real growth with that, but it's definitely also not the mass market. And so I think that, you know, bringing down the costs, and Sun Culture has done great work on doing that, but through subsidies, through RBFs and through carbon. And so I'd love to be able to see a world where that isn't kind of part of the unit economics, but I don't see that happening anytime soon. Okay. But I think we have it. We have carbon. It's promising.
Thank you so much. So I think a lot of agreement and critical points to keep in mind, both for the private sector, for policymakers, and etc., as we are pushing to increase productivity and transform livelihoods. So I guess the question is this a public service? So for the next, I've liked that the previous two speakers have given, I don't think it's possible, and I think this is what it should be. So if we can keep more of that coming, so that then we have takeaways from the session. So maybe I'll move to, is this 30%? Yeah, if there's I get 1 point here, then 1 here, then try to wrap up the discussion. So who is, okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm actually surprised that all the room moved that way. If it's guaranteed to raise people's income, I mean, but anyway, I'll add in, I mean, I could be on that side, but my perspective, so I co-founded a solar company in Somalia, so I work in Somalia, and I'd like to meet with Yolanda afterwards, because I think we've gotten support from IKEA Foundation. An interesting twist on this is those that already use irrigation or don't use irrigation. So farming where we are is all irrigated. There's no rain-fed agriculture in the area I work. So in those cases, I think if you have the right funding model, it is affordable because your alternative is typically diesel. So I didn't move actually from question 1 to question 2, but I think with some, depends on I think whether you're trying to address rain-fed agriculture with very small holders or not.
Thank you so much. So back to addressing what are you transitioning from and where do you want to go? I think now I will go to the panelists, but this time I'll take 2 feedback points and then I can do the final question quickly. So starting with Tange, 1 minute.
Yeah, 30 seconds.
Yes.
No, I think all the key points have been raised to my opinion. Definitely, like Sun Culture customers at the moment, as said earlier on, it's early adopters. 90% of our customers are first-time irrigator customers. So only a small portion are replacing their systems. The second one, when we talk subsidies, there is obviously 2 types of subsidies. There is the once-off subsidies where we support the customers to access the asset, which really allow us to go lower on the base of the pyramid. And then there is most of the European model where there is ongoing recurrent subsidy that you get year on year. And it can't work. We're talking here hundreds of millions of customers throughout the world, and an ongoing subsidy wouldn't work. The only thing I want to drop is, and I'm happy to share with whoever, we've as you were saying earlier on, as Sun Culture, we've tried to prove as a real business case that maybe a subsidy could support the customers. We run it over 2,000 systems. We sold with a 30% price discount on it, trying to mimic what tomorrow a good price on the carbon market could bring to our customers. So if we were able to sell, credit at a high value, not the current one. So we use a subsidy to mimic that, to see the effect. And what we saw is a sales velocity increase by 4. So indeed, subsidies are required. It's a no-brainer. I mean, Europe had it. These people need even more. However, we hope and expect that it could be a change, a starting engine now to use another lever such as carbon, which could be sustainable without subsidy.
Thank you so much. Maybe we have 30 seconds. I think it's almost the next session. All right, 30 seconds, then I have to wrap up because I'm being flagged for the next session.
I'll just say that if Urja model propagates, then subsidies would not be required because they don't have to buy the power, these equipment, but they'll have to pay for the services they take. So when I'm talking about solar power irrigation systems, it's not about having an equipment per se as in their ownership, but having access to these services. So what we are trying to do is get these models accessible so they don't have to invest, take the part of upfront high cost. They just have to pay for the services they take from our pumps. That's it.
For me, I think instead of the guarantee all smallholders could be afford without subsidy, I would like to say how we can achieve this goal. I think to cut off some middleman profit, I would like to share with you my experience so you can get insight of this business. The customer buy from us based in China, and they would like to pay air freight back to Africa. That means there's a huge profit margin between the end market prices and our manufacturing prices. So I think if we can build manufacturing bases in Africa, that could be dramatically reduce their cost. In this way, without subsidy, maybe they can afford it. That's my analysis. Thank you.
Thank you. And interesting wrap-ups to say, maybe if we change business models, we can go to some affordable, if we are looking at a service, or if we have local manufacturing and aspects like that. Very key takeaways. I had another question, but actually I have to wrap up on this one because the next session is already here. But maybe join me to thank our panelists, first of all, for very key insights. And then, of course, for yourselves, for the very active participation and very interesting points, critical, that have come out of this debate. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, and I think from my end, the key takeaways are that there are so many nuances to this topic. So a lot of discussion, monitoring, testing, and looking at the approach is still really needed to fully cover and harness what we could get from this aspect of solar irrigation for smallholder farmers. So thank you so much, and please feel free to continue this discussion in the networking breaks with any one of us. I wish you a good rest of the conference.